the whole album itself is kind of structured like a movie. Every time they would send me a beat that I connected with, it's like I see a scene in my head. You know what I mean? Either of something that I went through or like a allegorical story in a sense. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, it's honestly just like a underdog story, or like it's a classic tale of every rapper, right? Like I came up off of drug money. It's like, taking all of the bad shit that happens to you or happens to us as like a culture or a people, right? And what we was able to do with it. You know what I mean? It's like if you think about what crack was supposed to do to the black community, like it did a lot of that, right? But at the same time, like look at what look at what niggas did with some cocaine. You know what I'm saying? That shit's crazy,
Microphone check 1 2. What is this? It's the 5'7" assassin in the podcast business. I am your host, Rohan Patra, the rap music plug at your service.
Here we are again at the end of a rainbow.
Today's episode highlights the beauty in artistic collaboration, creating something greater than the sum of its parts, as well as the beauty of art as a means to process emotion and get through life's challenges. The quartet of rapper Teller Banks and producers Killer Kane, No Rap Name, and Philth Spector joined forces to create one of the absolute best albums of the year, Drug Money, and join the show today to deep dive into the jazz-like improvisational creative process for the record, the therapeutic effect it had on Teller Banks, soundtracking his own personal story of difficulty and triumph that was unfolding simultaneously, and the serendipitous nature of the entire creative journey. Listen on for some wise words from some incredibly talented minds. You will not want to miss this. And finally, for folks in Toronto, I have a special treat for you. On October 16th at Basement 254, I will be hosting an evening of amazing hip-hop and experimental music featuring cross-country acts that some may know who listen to this show in Wave Generators, Jesse the Tree, NAHreally, as well as some talented local acts in GhostboyRJ and Bridge of Sand. Tickets are on sale. You can find that in the description of wherever you're listening to this. Don't miss it. The Rap Music Plug podcast presented by QLC TV is the remedy to the I don't have anything good to listen to problem. Through in-depth artist interviews, album reviews, and general rap commentary on the best that the underground rap scene has to offer, this is your one-stop shop to knowing what to add to your queue, play next, or pop into your record player. Welcome to the show. Teller Banks, No Rap Name, Philth Spector, Killer Kane. How are you guys all doing today?
What up? Thanks for having us.
Good, man. Chilling.
Doing good, bro. Chilling. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for real for having us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, legendary.
Very happy we could do this. This Drug Money album is really special, and I know many of you have said it in some way, shape, or form that this particular record seems to have had like a different response than maybe some of your past work. So like, why do you think that is? Why do you think this one has struck such a chord and like attracted folks so strongly?
Yo,
it came about so organically. Like, I think that definitely speaks to like why people are resonating with it. I
think part of it, I was thinking about this the other day. I think part of it too is Teller giving us the credits in every song title. Like, there's producer collabs, that definitely happens, but like, we were all part of this record in some form or fashion. Even just like, not executive producing, but like, sending stuff in the chat and being like, yo, this definitely would fit perfectly and all that. And like, I don't know, Teller giving us the credit, showing that like we're also part of this album as much as him, I think really helped elevate it to a degree. As the music obviously helps too, right? But I think this would like that makes you think like, wait, like 4 people were on each song, like doing something on this album, like what's going on? And not just like it's sometimes it's simple, just like a hi-hat placement, but like sometimes it's like, full on collaboration. And I don't know, I think that to me that's part of it. That's part of it.
Yeah, I think the energy too, just behind, I'm into some mystical things, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like even like when I trying to recall like a lot of the stuff about the album or about like the, you know, how this all came about. I don't even know how Q got my phone number. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. I really don't even know, you know what I'm saying, the origins of where this came from. I just know that it like all of the timing of everything that happened lined up like perfectly in its own way. Like a lot of the stuff that even happened on the way up to the release didn't happen the way that it was supposed to happen necessarily. So like I don't know. It was just some weird, definitely some kind of cosmic energy
The
out there
portal,
that just
man.
put
It's
this
the
album
portal.
out. Yeah. I literally when they first sent me the beats, I texted them. I was like, all right, who else is in here doing witchcraft? Who opened the portal? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I hadn't been writing a whole lot up until that point when they sent me that pack of beats. And like I said, I still like to this day, I couldn't tell you like how Q got my number
Me
or
neither. I don't know how to.
yeah, like bro, I really do not know.
Yeah,
You
that's
know
I'm
what I'm
like
wild.
saying?
racking my
So
brain and like I actually don't know.
yeah, I really don't
But
know.
that's the internet for you. Shout out to the internet, and that's a big part of my like reason is like once this shit kind of hits the ground and starts rolling, like the algorithm has certain ways of just continuing some momentum. Like if it's moving, it just keeps moving. And I think it's cliche for a reason, but if you want to go far, you know, you go together. You know, if you want to go
Yeah,
fast, like I can put out 100 beat tapes this year by myself if I wanted to, but it's not going to reach the same, you know what I mean, amount because we can each promote it. You know what I mean, and then it just keeps growing and growing that way. So I think people, as individualistic as this whole thing can be at times, I think people got to like kind of embrace the collab because it mathematically makes it go further, you know?
yeah. Yeah, at one point, I feel like we were all touring the countryside in different directions, playing the album. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think selling the physicals before the album even came out, like really, you know, kind of brought like it kind of built a community. You know what I'm saying? To rally around the album before it even hit streaming. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think all of those things just really played into, you know, people wanting to support like a collective effort. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I think at its core, like you said, this is such a unique setup for a record. Like that's what definitely drew me to immediately be more maybe more excited for when I look at the my Bandcamp or whatever. I think that's probably maybe it was social media. I don't really remember, but whenever Teller you posted about it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna check this out. I always check out your shit, but I was like, damn, all three of these guys on every song. And I was assuming when I saw that, I was like, okay, it would be like, you know, produced by Killer Kane, produced by Philth Spector. Like it would be separate. Like that's what I was expecting too, which was like, damn, okay, this
Yeah.
is fascinating. I want to see how they pulled it off. So like let's start first by like understanding how this like so I guess, you know, how you guys first got in contact is a bit like amorphous, but how did the idea to actually do a record like this first metastasize?
Me and Q have made 2 beat tapes together, and me and Kane have made 2 beat tapes together, like all instrumentals. And Q was like, "Yo, if we're making beats together this year, we gotta make it like with the idea of sending out a batch to a rapper." And we had a session at Q's house one night. We made like 8 beats, and after one of the beats, I think Kane said, "Yo, I could hear Teller Banks on this." We all kind of agreed and no one said anything else. And then like the next day, the next afternoon, I get a text message from an unknown number from Teller, and he already recorded on 6 out of the 8 beats that we sent. And that's how the album just started from there.
Real. And also, like, as far as going back to the whole collaborating thing, like, the project that I did earlier in the year, Living Room, was like really collaborative. And that kind of helped me at least just think like, all right, well, everything is not about me. I've been thinking about like producers who produce in a different, like Kanye and Dr. Dre and all these people. It's like they're not playing every part. You know what I mean? They're getting the right people in the room. So I'm just thinking like, whatever I can do, I've reached whatever level I can reach. You know, with me, but like, let's just bring everybody in and see what we can do together. You know what I mean? Like, I've been having that thought like since a while. You know what I mean? And to be able to bring it together with the homies, we see each other all the time and make beats all the time anyway. So it just worked out real organically like that.
Yeah, Q's been talking about, we've been talking about since the beginning of Flip a Beat Club, kind of treating like when we link up together to try to make music as if it's like a jazz session, where it's like it's the same group of people, but like, you know, one night I may take the lead on shit, next session Q may take the lead, the same way like a old jazz group would sometimes the horn's the band leader, sometimes the piano player's the band leader in that
In our
session.
jazz era.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
and that's crazy because I actually started my music career as a like jazz musician. I'm like a actually like classically trained jazz musician. I know music theory. I can compose music, all of that. That's how I started out. I started playing saxophone when I was like 8 or 9 years old. I used to play under a dude named Hugh Reagan. He's like a trumpeter. He's kind of famous. You know what I'm saying? He's an asshole. But shout out to Hugh Reagan. You know what I'm saying? But I think that all kind of, for me, like, I'm usually just like a one man everything. You know what I'm saying? I produce a lot of my own stuff. I do a lot of stuff by myself. I mix and master my own stuff. I'm like in the studio alone most of the time, right? So like the collab that I did with Wino Willie, I feel like really laid the pavement for a lot of my ability to kind of let go of the control and kind of more have it be a collaborative group effort, um not to dismiss the albums that I did with Ed because it was the same thing, but the process with Wino Willie was a little bit different where like we finished that album and I really didn't have any plans for it. I was kind of overloading everybody with music at the time and we didn't want to just drop it for nothing. So that was the first time I gave somebody else like full control over what to do, you know what I mean, with something that I worked on. Like it wasn't even split, we obviously split everything 50-50, but I would say that beginning of him putting the album together, the reason the album even came out, the reason why the album had label support, all of that stuff was Wino Willie quarterbacked all of that on his own. And so seeing that like the best to that point in my career, some of the best received music that I had done came from like somebody else's passion and somebody else's vision being equal to mine in a project. You know what I mean? It kind of like it just opened the door for me to be more open and like available to doing collaborative work like that where I hung on the words of everything that they were saying. We had a group chat going literally from like the first time that we recorded songs. We've probably talked damn near every day since then. You know what I mean? So everything that we did, it was all like, and that's why like, one of the things, the only regret that I really have about the album was that we had to switch distributors right before the release because of a mix up. So I couldn't get everybody's name actually in the album like description when you click on it. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I could do to compensate that was put the features in on every
It
song. I did
works,
it for
man. That
every
shit looks good,
you know what I
I
mean?
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the only thing that I had, I wished I could have gave them even more credit. You know what I'm saying? Because it really was like, I really was like 25% of this thing. Or at times like, 17 and a half whenever Ayashi was on the boards with him. You know what I'm saying? That's really how I look at the project. And I feel like, allowing everybody to have that equal, you know, ownership of it also like gave everybody passion for it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of the times like rappers are assholes. And so it's hard to even want to do like collaborative shit for it because you don't know if the shit that you're putting into it is gonna get brought back to you. You know what I'm saying? So
Fact.
Yeah, I think Philth, you mentioned Flip a Beat Club, and
Yeah.
that's actually something I want to quickly talk about because like one of my first, no, the first notable hip hop moment I had moving to Toronto, which
Hmm.
was in 2022 summer. It was like 3 days into coming, July 4th, July 5th, and Raz Fresco hosted an event in Toronto,
Yeah.
and
Shout
I
out
had
to
no idea
Raz.
really what these were, but I went to it because I just, was a fan of Raz. I think
Yeah.
at that point, maybe he had been on the show or he would have been on shortly after. And like, it was a really special moment. Got to see Fresh Kills. I had seen him before, but like, I got to meet one of the people in person that I've like been since like seen a bunch. Really dope person in the scene, really great guy, and it was just really mad affirming. I think that's kind of
Yeah.
what I want to say because like I remember vividly thinking like, damn, this isn't really like why I came here. I came just like going to a bigger city. Ottawa's boring as fuck and white, no offense. It is. I was like, damn, this is why I came here. Like,
That's great.
and
Yeah.
and
They
like
used to
what
go
what
crazy
do
up there.
people, for people who aren't aware, like could you explain what Flip a Beat Club is for those,
Yeah.
and then share like, because I get the impression that this played a role in kind of connecting you guys. Like how
A
did that play
huge,
a role in
massive
connecting you
role.
guys together
Yeah.
for this
So
record?
So Flippa Beat Club was started out in Sacramento at 12's Wax. It's a record store out there. Started by Mons Rock with the help of DiBiase. And it started just in Sacramento, and then over time it expanded to different chapters in different cities, all and in Canada as well. There's a Zoom link for people that are outside of the cities. But anyway, Q was at the very first Flippa Beat Club session or second Flippa Beat Club session in Sacramento, and he moved back to Philly, and I met him at Flippa Beat Club. He asked me to help co-host. Kane and NAHreally were definitely at the first session, so I met all of them there. And yeah, we just became like friends outside of music, started collaborating and just making beats together whenever we hung out. And then, like I said, me and Q put out the Color Sound Experiment 1 and 2, which is an instrumental tape. And then people have confused me and Kane for being the same person since the day we met each other. So we made 2 more tapes, Face Off 1 and 2 together. And NAHreally's featured on both of those tapes as well. And yeah, just through Flippa Beat Club, we all kind of, I feel like we've all improved drastically, just like learning different techniques and stuff from each other. And we kind of push each other to make more music and improve. And like me and Q said, like we've been doing these collaborative tapes, which is fun, but like it takes a real specific type of person to just listen to an instrumental tape. So we were like, oh, we need to, we want to hear what it sounds like with people rhyming on our stuff. And shout out to Teller for letting us make these kind of different style beats, because they're not like traditionally structured with like a 16 bar verse, 8 bar hook, and back to the verse again.
Yeah, and like when we were thinking about this kind of jazz band s style collaboration, what was the process looking like? So you kind of touched on it earlier about how like sometimes it would be all three of you touching a beat, but realistically maybe one of you just added a hi-hat. But like what how did you guys collaborate truly on the beats? Like was it like you guys were sharing project files? Were you guys in person a lot of
No,
times?
every single session was in person.
Oh shit.
Yeah, there was like three major sessions that we did with the 3 or the 4 of us with Ayashi, and then there each of us either have like at least one solo beat on there. Not going to disclose which is which. That's kind of the fun of it too, right? But it was all in person. We'd link up after work one night or on a weekend, and just we're set up in either Phil's basement or my crib or Q's, and then really kind of whoever's house you're at, that's who's in control of the ship, so to speak. And like you're hopping in and be like, I kind of know how to work on Ableton where Q's working at, so I can like manage a little bit more, like but we're hopping in and like Philth is bringing drums, we're getting samples, layering it, like we're digging through samples together and be like, oh yeah, this one, and just stop what we're doing and immediately like cut something up. And then one of us will hop out, be like, all right, my brain's fried, like who wants next? And it's kind of like musical chairs almost sometimes, or like Q literally get it, like falling asleep, waking up and be like, yo, just nudge that a little bit, and then you nudge it, and
That's
like
perfect.
and then like, yeah, that is what it needed. Like it's like that's what I mean. It's like those little things, like we're all kind of engineering the session or the project a little bit, even if like maybe I didn't touch any pads that time, like change that kick out, like that's not sounding right, like but then like also like a medley, like we're in a flow, like I'm doing the drums first, I'm gonna lay a sample down, Philth comes in every time. Philth comes in and and lays a sample down, and Q finishes the song and then starts the next one, and it's kind of like you're pulling the rope down, like passing it on, and then you're starting the next one, and then we kind of just keep rotating like that. Whoever's like, oh yeah, this clicks with me, like I'm going off right now.
And then a lot of the sessions, like whoever's house, like a lot of the sessions that are in my house, like we would have a drum loop just going, and Kane would throw down any idea he had on the pads, and then we just would keep recording as we were doing it. I would do my any idea I had with the sample that we had chopped up, and then the next day I'd come together and like try to piece together the arrangement out of everybody's ideas that we put in. So that was another way that a lot of the beats came together. But yeah, it was all in person and it was completely collaborative. It's to a point now where I would say it's very difficult for me to tell who's responsible for what.
Yeah.
On any given track. Like there's a couple things where it's like, oh, I know Kane or Q or Ayashi like does their drums this way, or they chop one way, but for the most part, I'd say it's pretty hard to tell who did what.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, like I mean, it's just crazy that an album with like so many cooks in the kitchen feels like this consistent and seamless, because there is
Yeah,
definitely some like there's a blueprint musically to this album that seems pretty clear in some of the instrumentation, sample choices and all of that. How did you
Yeah.
guys how did you guys pull off like landing on that musical vision and executing it? Like was it just constant conversation, constant communication?
it was kind
Nah.
of just like what came out. Like we didn't really talk about the sound, I would say, like at all.
Yeah.
Like we're all used to making music together, so like that's just like what it sounds like when the three or four of us make music together.
Yeah, and like sometimes like when like the first session started with us just like, all right, we're making these beats and we're gonna get like these are gonna go to somebody, but we also didn't like formulate them like Phil said, like intro, verse, hook, whatever. Like we want these to go to people, but we're not like trying to make it for specifically anybody per se. But like when we were making it, we were like I was like, yeah, Teller definitely was sound fire over this, and Q had a list of names, and like I was like, Teller Banks, bro, like let's go, like, and we sent him. We got the pack back, and after we found that like pocket where Teller sound is like that shit came back crazy. We're like, all right, well, we know the vein, like the algorithm we went down on YouTube. We're gonna just go digging through that and like kind of picking based off of like we set the initial tone with like the palette we gave them of beats, and then like Teller found it. We are like, all right, we're sticking with this, and we all kind of have the same ear, but just chop a little bit differently. So like some of us are picking the samples, but I'm cutting it different than the way Philth would or Q would, and then vice versa, right? Like I'm picking samples that I would pick, and then they're cutting it the way they'd cut it, and just like But once we found that sound, once we got that pack back, we were like, all right, bet. Like the next sessions were more and more focused to be like, we gotta get like, I know where to go to get us like the gold, basically. Like we're digging for
Yeah,
gold. I know where it's at.
The first patch of beats that they sent me, like we probably ended up, I wouldn't say I thought the album was done, but we had did like 12 songs and sent it back to them and kind of sat with that for a minute. We sat with that like for almost like 6 months.
Long time, yeah.
And yeah, I just felt like there was something not quite right about them. So I kept deleting songs off of the, what I'm saying, off of the Untitled that we was all sharing together. And then they would be like, yo, why'd you delete that? I'd be like, I don't know. It just didn't feel right. Like something about it was just off. And so when they sent me like the next patches of beats, I didn't necessarily, I think like part of the reason why it all came together too is because of the spontaneity of the creation. Like I listened to every beat individually. So every time that I liked the beat, I stopped whatever I was doing and just wrote to that, recorded it, mixed it, sent it back to him. You know what I'm saying? Like in that order. So every beat that I heard that I liked, I ended up recording like in a certain sequence. And then I ended up resequencing the album just because once I had all of the songs put together and I was listening through to it and all the different orders that was where I actually figured out the story that I was really telling. Cause like a lot of time when I'm writing, you know what I mean? Like, we talk about the portal or whatever. I feel like it's just, I don't write all the time. I feel like of all the things that I do musically, as much music as I've put out, as many songs as I have, like, I feel like I write less than any other rapper that I know. You know what I mean? Just because like most of the time I'm drawing a blank, like I until I get hit in that moment with whatever it is. Like the whole album itself is kind of structured like a movie. Every time they would send me a beat that I connected with, it's like I see a scene in my head. You know what I mean? Either of something that I went through or like, a allegorical story in a sense. You know what I mean? So like once I started really being able to see all of the songs clearly in my head as I'm listening through to it, the sequence of the album kind of came together like perfectly. But yeah, just I think that a lot of times like now that we met each other all in person for the first time like last weekend, you know what I'm saying, doing the actual first session that we've all been a part of, you know what I mean? We even recorded a couple of songs there. So I think when they saw my actual recording process, everything started to make sense. Cause like I don't know what the hell is about to happen when I start trying to record the songs. I write stuff and like a lot of times even like I don't like to turn in my lyrics because what I actually rap is like hardly ever what I wrote down on the paper. Once I get through my first take and I actually know what I'm saying, it's like I kind of look at everything that I'm doing almost like method acting. You know what I'm saying? I just got to embody whatever that character is that I'm portraying in the song. So it's like every take that I do ends up coming out a little bit different. I have probably like 10 or 12 at least takes for every song that we've done that are just in different vocal tones, different things. I said it different ways. The flow kind of came together in different things. So, you know, for them to be like, yeah, we created this kind of in the lieu of like a jazz band, I feel like I fit in there perfectly as far as like, taking the lead as being the Miles Davis or the, whoever. I ain't gonna say Charlie. I'm gonna say it the other one, Charlie Parker. You know what I'm saying on the sax. Just because a lot of it was me trying to fit myself into those instrumentals. You know what I mean? The phrasing and everything. Like the songs, none of the songs really have like a clear structure to them, and so I had to improvise. Everything that I wrote felt like a improvisation of sorts. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, there's so much you said there that's fascinating. Like one, the sequencing definitely is so tight and seamless. Like ending the album with the radio freestyle track was perfect.
Love that
It just
song.
had like, especially with the women's vocals, like that sample to like wrap it up, just super smooth. But it does speak to that like movie esque narrative quality of just something like I totally see when you speak to it just now. Like you said, this was kind of like movies. Every track was like movie scenes. You saw this as like an allegorical record. Like what was that? Could you elaborate on what was that like story, or if it's an allegory, what was that kind of like message or core thing that like was you were trying to paint with these songs on Drug Money?
Yeah, it's honestly just like a underdog story or like it's a classic tale of every rapper, right? Like I came up off of Drug Money. It's like, taking all of the bad shit that happens to you or happens to us as like a culture or a people, right? And what we was able to do with it. You know what I mean? It's like if you think about what crack was supposed to do to the black community, like it did a lot of that, right? But at the same time, like look at what look at what niggas did with some cocaine. You know what I'm saying? That shit's crazy. So I feel like even in terms of like music, right? It's like I was looking at like there's a song specifically called like Seance, right? And Seance is, half of it is a dream sequence, right? Where it's like I'm having a nightmare and then I wake up to the actual reality of what I'm like living in, right? And so, it's kind of just like grappling with the two sides of hip hop, you know what I mean? That I kind of like deal with being somebody who used to be something else who's now looked at more as like a conscious figure in the music that I make, right? Where a lot of the times I don't really align with conscious rappers because a lot of them are kind of like I look at them like judgmentally. Like a lot of them never really did a lot of the shit that I've done in my personal life or a lot of the things that are like portrayed in their music or topics that are like associated with black lifestyle, whether it be selling drugs, hurting people, gang banging, the nine, you know what I'm saying? And so dealing with that kind of like balance in the scale of like how much of this is really good and how much of this is bad, how much of this did we glorify and how much of this should we glorify of what we've made out of it, you know what I'm saying? And so the whole story as an album, like I really look at it like the sequencing is more like the basic layout of the album. Like I looked at Osiris when I heard that beat, it was like I saw the intro scene, like how you would set up, a movie. Like if you even think about the movie Drive, right? It's like you're looking at the city, getting to zoom in, you're getting a lay of the land. It's kind of like introducing the type of character that you're dealing with before you even really know what's happening in the story. And so it was like each song, kind of like the way I sequenced it, it was like, where I wanted it to kind of come in at the movie, right? So like the actual outro of that album is the $triple$ song, right? That's where it all comes together. We got the money, we're doing great, like, it's all amazing. Then it's like we got some bonus songs, Uncle Remus Chicken. It's kind of like what I would say, you kind of hear a bombastic song play when the credits first start rolling, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if you're gonna start introducing like the little montage before the boring credit roll, and then the radio freestyles like would be looked at like a mid-credit scene to tease the sequel. So the movie's just really about like revenge. It's about losing everything and getting it back and then making it, you know what I'm saying, as a rapper instead. You know what I mean? There's like a pivotal moment in the album on Jacob where kind of fate changes for the character. He's actually seeking revenge, and then the person that he's trying to get actually ends up dying in a car accident. You know what I mean? And so from that moment forward, it's kind of like, what do I do with this grief or this feeling or this, like, it's, I wanted revenge, but it's still kind of unresolved, and then taking that and then making it into something, So and by the end of the album, he's made it as a rapper, and he's doing his first radio freestyle on, whether it be Sway or Flex. That's why I put the number behind it, because it was like, this is just another, I'm the 93rd nigga to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm.
it's a tale as old as time, you know what I'm saying? But I just wanted to give my own personal spin on it, or my own personal take on this, story. And I think it did pretty well.
I think you guys, like, in the way that you put that together, Teller. I mean, I think it was brilliant, and even just the intro, going back to like how meticulous the record is, like it set the scene perfectly from like the lyrical standpoint, like you're talking about, but also like the instrumental, because it set the blueprint for like what this is gonna be like. It showed what you can do as kind of like a vocalist, and you got that line, "I told Virgil, right, bitch on my
Like,
bitch."
bitch on
Like
my
that.
bed.
That's like classic Teller Banks, like earworm. You're gonna remember it. Just
Yeah.
amazing.
That's when I knew, bro. That's when I knew.
That's
That shit
that's
back, I was like, I threw my phone. I'm like, bro, you gotta be kidding me.
that shit is crazy. And like, the sound we were talking about, right? Like it has that signature, like there's like these piano, a lot of really beautiful keys like throughout, skittery, glitchy drums, like non-traditional sound signatures. The percussion also is like usually very bright. Um, why do you, like, for the producers on this, like why do you feel you landed on this particular sound? Maybe if it wasn't as conscious, but why do you, I guess, feel in hindsight, why do you feel it was such a good complementary fit for what Teller Banks can do on the mic?
I think we all get bored like easily when we're making stuff. So I think going, I guess, a less traditional sounding route with the sample choices had something to do with it.
Philth brought that YouTube playlist really,
Yeah.
like a lot of that. It's the like I know more or less what I kind of did, in terms of contributions, but that is a major one because most if not all of the samples came from a playlist that Philth made, and that playlist itself had a lot of like kind of cohesive like sound to it. It almost just sounded like one big thing, but it was a bunch of different shit. So that kind of helped everything sound like it was on a theme. You know what I mean? And that was a relief for me, and I'm sure for Kane too, because it's like, again, just trying to compartmentalize all these pieces. Like sometimes when you have to do everything, sometimes you get tired by the time you got to do the fourth. You're not as into it or whatever. But when everybody's
Yeah.
doing one small thing and doing it well and bringing it together, like the shit can work. So like by the time they pull up to my crib and Kane got drums and Phil got samples, all I got to do is turn Ableton on and just like do what I do in Ableton and just like freak some shit, do whatever, make a couple patterns, and then go back and then let them kind of go with where their first mind. And once everybody goes with their first couple ideas and we bring everybody's first couple ideas together, we already got nobody even lifted a finger damn near, and we have something really to be proud of within not that much time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that like us all being together in person in the collaborating versus sending files back and forth to each other, like I
Yeah.
think that really led to the cohesion of like everything sounding like one, like
Yeah.
it's supposed to be together.
Yeah, that I'm big. Like I used to collab a lot online, but as much as at least like instrumental wise, like collabing online with beats is, you know, somebody's giving you a sample basically, and then you're just doing your own thing with it and not getting their feedback and not getting like, you know, you get their start, but you don't get their like middle and end
Yeah.
feedback through it, right? So like we were able to bounce ideas off each other that we normally wouldn't have like in our own sessions too, where like
Not even that, just that, like there'd be parts where we're just like hitting the pads trying to figure out like just what sounds are available with what got chopped up, and then like the other two would be like, yo, do that.
yeah,
And it's like,
yeah.
oh, I wasn't even like trying to
And
do anything right now.
And the cool thing about like going in person is you're learning other people's style without like it being like well, how do you do this? Just trying to like absorb somebody's method and not using it with them, so to speak, right? Like I picked up like a Q, but Q uses the live MPC live too. Like he showed me something on there that like changed the way I've made beats in the last year, that has made it so much easier to collab, for one, because like sample choice, you know, again, we all I'm used to, I have 120 chops. I can chop it 120 times. That's what I'm doing, right? But there's different ways to use the live too, and Q showed me a way that like gives it a different point of view where you're not, you know, stuck in your own loop of how you make things too, right? Where us collabing was able to like get us out of our own, like, all right, like I'm making a Killer Kane beat, like I'm making a Philth Spector beat, like I'm contributing something, and like prepping, like Phil's played a huge part in like prepping drums and samples for sure. Like the sample selection drove a lot of this, and we're all working. We all work full time. Like we're all tired. So like linking after work, like being able to get that jump start with like just a drum loop and not having to think too hard to start, and then it gets you in that zone to start. Like, yeah, I got drums on the next one, I want to make them fresh, but like getting, it's like a pre-prep meal. Like, all right, I'm gonna cook tonight, I got half the shit cut up already, like I don't need to cut everything up, wash everything. Like I got, using your energy where you have it and when you have it, and then bringing it together. And you know, again, like we're able to like step in, do something, step out, and like not think too hard about it, like really not thinking too hard about it, where it's able to be like, I'm stuck on this, like you got it, like you do something with it, like I picked a sample but I can't do anything else with it right now.
I feel like, yeah, there's so much to like I feel can be, you know, attributed to the really organic collaborative process to why this album sounds the way it is. Another thing that I'm thinking about though is like, Teller, I know you've you've said this, I feel like, in on social media like a couple times here and there, but like I understand and from some of your statements in the past that like the last year, let's say maybe the last year and a half, has been pretty challenging, pretty hectic.
Oh yeah.
And you're talking about the story about this record, about how like, you know, it's about like losing it all, revenge, all of these types of like pretty extreme, you know, mind states. Talk to me about how your mental or emotional state was during the recording of this album, and like how did that inspire the tone and the subject matter that you took and gave us on Drug Money.
Man, it's like a direct pull. It was kind of like, you know, I had I I had a lot of stuff kind of going on in my life that had put me in a, you know, kind of put me back in like a dark place where I felt like I was like, you know, in a lot of ways I felt like I was living like this kind of like weird cycle, almost like Groundhog Day. You know what I'm saying? Where it was like, oh shit, like it's starting over again. You know what I mean? I felt the same way that I did at earlier parts of my life. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, White People Stole My House, the album, right? It's like that happened to me in 2000 and like what, 23, 22, you know what I mean? Motherfuckers really stole my house type shit, right? But also, you know, when I was growing up, like the house that I grew up in, we, you know, avoided foreclosure by having to do a short sale on the house that I grew up in. So, you know, I ended up moving out of my, you know, childhood home. You know, my parents worked damn near 20 years for that house. You know what I'm saying? Put everything we had into it. A lot of times growing up, like, you know, there was a lot of sacrifices made to keep that investment. You know what I'm saying? And then seeing it kind of like it just felt kind of like I was living this kind of like cycle, you know what I mean? And so I started developing, you know what I'm saying, kind of going back into a lot of my old bad habits as far as like patterns of thought, you know what I'm saying, patterns of like substance abuse. I was drinking damn near like every day. I was up to a point where I was drinking, you know what I'm saying, like with breakfast type of shit. You know what I'm saying? I was going out to places and ordering like espresso martinis with my breakfast and, just doing shit like that. It became a regular part of, you know, my coping mechanism, right? And it was probably the least amount of music that I had been making or creating in that period of time. I was kind of going through like, you know, a real slump. Like the album that me and Wino Willie did, I recorded all of that probably in like 2021, maybe 2020,
Wow.
early 2022. And then it just kind of, you know, I wouldn't say I put it off to the side, but there was a point in time I had so much music, I really didn't know what I was doing with it. So I kind of, like I said, I kind of gave him the responsibility for the album. And that's why I say everything happens in the timing that it's supposed to happen, because had he not done what he did with the album, I don't know if any of the stuff that I'm doing now really would have happened the way that it happened, the way everything ended up lining up, So, yeah, no, I just, I was heavily revenge minded. I had something happen on like New Year's that kind of like changed everything for me. You know what I mean? And the first thing that I could think of after this thing happened was I need to get my cameraman over here and take pictures and like videotape this moment. You know what I'm saying? So I had somebody come over, film some stuff in my house, and kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. They probably sent me these beats like right before that in November, where I was still drinking. So a lot of the stuff that I made in that point in time, I was just kind of like making shit, right? Like I was just throwing paint at the wall, kind of seeing what was sticking. I was like kind of taking advantage of. I was leaning into like my wrong mind, you know what I'm saying, and kind of taking advantage of the mindset that I was in those moments. Like everything at that point, like I was looking at a lot like method acting, right? I had become this like I had really become. I was my real life, right? But it's like I'm making art out of this shit, so I'm putting everything that I'm really going into these songs, into these expressions. Like I'm transmuting that shit. So New Year's happens. I decide to go cold turkey from drinking. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like had inadvertent like intervention with my family, just because like I was really kind of losing my, what I'm saying, mind. Like I was so hell bent on revenge that I really, I was ready to throw away everything that I had like been building up for my entire career. You know what I'm saying? Had just recorded the On the Radar shit with McKinley in like November. It was supposed to be coming out in March. I knew we had all these different things coming up. I knew the McKinley album was going to be big. Like I knew that there was a lot of things that I had, looking forward to in terms of my career. And then in my personal life, it's like I got 3 kids. I got all of these things that like, I kind of have to be here for. So like, regardless of what this is, like this battle that I'm having between my old self and the person that I am right now, you know what I'm saying? It's coming to a head, you know what I mean, in this moment. So probably around like New Year's, I would say we sat with the album. I would say I recorded what I thought was the album like right before this. New Year's happened. I'm kind of just sitting around like, I don't even know. It's probably like in April or something like that y'all sent me the beats. I think I went on like a friendship tour. I did a show out here in Des Moines that was kind of ass. And then I just said fuck it and hopped on a plane the next day to go see Cav's show in Brooklyn. And I just stayed out there. I ran into Q out there. You know what I'm saying? That's why I was saying I don't know when I got Q's number or when he got my number, because I thought that was where I met Q, but I'm like, that doesn't line up in the timeline, because that
Must have been off of the internet, off the socials.
it
And
had.
to make a brief aside, bro, for all the bullshit that it is, the internet really has introduced me to some good people
Oh
and
yeah.
like made some cool shit happen.
Facts,
Like if it
yeah.
wasn't for social media, this album and all, by all accounts, probably wouldn't have been made. So,
Yeah.
but I think we tapped in via Twitter or Instagram around the time when I was doing Living Room, because I don't. But then I'm like, when did I get that? I don't know, dude. My timeline's all fucked up. I'm still drinking, so I don't even actually.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there.
So yeah, nah, they sent me a second batch of beats. I hadn't been writing anything. All of a sudden they sent me this second batch of beats and I was like locked in. I had done some like freestyles with my homie Rent Money, who's working on his album after, we had kind of finished the first draft of Drug Money. That was really what I was putting all of my effort into, was kind of helping Rent Money figure out this Rentification album that he was working on. That's kind of, we're still developing and evolving it as we're all, as he's starting to get to know everybody a little bit better. Me and him known each other for a while. So when they sent me the second batch of beats, it was like I was in a completely different mindset. I've been working out every day, running like 10 kilometers a day, doing my like literally doing like the One Punch Man workout. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So I was kind of
And
like,
those are the Ayashi beats too. They were so we had that extra power
yeah,
behind
there was
us
something a
in
little
that
bit
one.
different about that batch of beats. When they sent it to me, I was just in a different zone. So I ended up sending them back like, that next, it was probably like, I don't even know. I want to say like 6 to 8 more songs
Yeah,
that
it's
we
like
ended
the
up
second half
doing.
of the album, really.
Yeah, in like probably like a week or some change. Like I was just tapped in. Like everything that I was trying to do, it all just kind of came together right there. And then from there, we just kind of sat and sequenced it together. But yeah, I didn't even realize the actual story that I was telling until it was really happening. The first song that I actually wrote on the album is "Bring 'Em Back." That was the first beat that I think that I heard that like it kind of stopped me in my tracks. It might have been either Benny and West that we ended up recording first, and then "Bring 'Em Back" happened after that. Because Rent Money was in the studio with me, and he really wanted to rap on "Bring 'Em Back." Like when we heard that beat, he was like, "Oh, I need parts of this." But I was just in a flow state writing. And when I was reciting my verse to the song, like it just laid out too perfect. I was like, nah, bro, I like low key, like I need all of these. I can't let a nigga do nothing with these. That's not me. I have to, there's something I lit. And then that's when I texted him. I was like, I don't know who's in here doing witchcraft, but like, I'm a real spiritual person. I got my altar right up here at the studio, or right on my desk. You know what I mean? I kind of let all the energy that's happening just like use me in the moment too. Because a lot of times I feel like the story that I'm telling is a lot of other people's story. You know what I'm saying? That's why part of the reason why I used radio freestyle number 93 too, right? Is because, I know there's a lot of other people that live in the same mindset that I used to live in, even up until like I'm a vastly different person than I was around this same time last year. You know what I'm saying? I'm a vastly different person than I was around this same time, even like 5 years ago, right? A lot of the shit that I grew up or like built myself to be, you know what I'm saying, that I was the most proud of, is a lot of the stuff that I'm trying to unlearn and break down and move away from, you know what I'm saying, and teach my kids like differently from. So I feel like with this album, it was kind of like, you know, I know I have like, I felt like I needed to tell this story in a way that wasn't going to be like preachy or like, you know, too much like, I'm better than you or I'm over you or I know better. You know what I'm saying? Because like there's a lot of times that shit didn't matter to me. I knew better and did the wrong shit all the time. That's not like the actual factor that goes into why people do bad or why people, you know what I'm saying, do what they do. It's really just emotions. You know what I'm saying?
That's
It's
real
about
as fuck.
managing your feelings. And I feel like in the underlay of the album, like all of the emotions, all the energy, everything that went into recording these songs was real emotions. You know what I'm saying? Every feeling, every time I was yelling, every time I was feeling that, it was my ability through the music to act out my revenge in such a meaningful way that I really let that shit go in real life. You know what I'm saying? Through this album. And everything played out and happened exactly the way it was supposed to happen. Like crazy as shit. Me and my mom was talking on the phone in a bar in Chicago about some bullshit. I'm an angry person. I have a lot of problems dealing with my anger. That's probably the my biggest thing that I grapple with, you know what I'm saying, on a regular basis is trying to remain calm and like take care of my anger and deal with like the mental health that I have from that with PTSD and other things, right? So talking to my mom, about more just her always urging and regarding me to let shit go. And she told me, karma comes for everybody. Like it don't matter what you're gonna do. You don't have to do nothing. Karma will come and get your ass. It really don't matter. I took the plane to Chicago, got off the plane, ordered an Uber, and a nigga named Karma came and picked me up from the airport. Swear to God on my life.
What?
He sent the screenshot. That's
Swear to
not
God
bullshit.
on my life. You know what I'm
Screenshot.
saying? So just everything, like I said, even with we only did one show on the McKinley tour. And then the tour ended up getting like rescheduled because one of the people in the touring party had tested positive for COVID and they just wanted to be safe. Like everybody ended up packing it up and going home. And I was like, fuck it. I'm finishing it out the way that I started it. I'm hitting all the cities that I said I was going to go to. I'm doing all the things that I'm meeting all these people and doing all of that. And so I feel like, I don't know. I feel like the story is still being told. We're already like 10, 11, 12 songs.
11 joints, bro. We got 11 joints, and they're good as fuck.
Wait,
Yeah,
what do you mean? Like another project?
New ones, yeah. Like
I was, because you had said it hints at a sequel. That was something that was set earlier, so I was gonna go back to it. But there's a same. All you guys like just
Bro,
another installment.
We made last weekend.
Yeah.
We made 10 new beats. Teller recorded like his 4 songs.
Ocean's 12, basically.
Rent Money pretty much
Yo.
finished his
Ocean's
album.
12. But it's crazy because, like, it's easy to gas your own shit up, but like the news, like the stuff that no one has heard yet, bro. I am like, to be fair, like I'm not talking about like it's not like like there's 3 joints on there that are better than any rap song I've heard all year. Everything's great. Here's a couple that are just transcendental. I cannot wait for people to hear it.
Yeah, like I don't know. There's just something about all the joints we've been making, but like it's good when you see the untitled notification come up like 20 times, like 20 times in an hour, like from all of us. And then like I'll see like Q's listening to it. I'm like, I'm not listening to anything shit. Let me just I start running. I start the new shit. Like and then I'm in the car and I'm running Drug Money. Like I'm still listening to our shit. Like damn, like Teller flipped that shit crazy, or like the way this like I don't know, like I'm excited about the music and I enjoy listening to it as a listener, and I think that's an important part of it. Like we all have a different favorite. Like we're all like it's just good music, but yeah, we got more in the tuck, and there's probably more coming.
And honestly, bro, I have to point this out because this was happening when we got like the first couple batches done and everything. We were getting songs back, and when you're working on something, you just keep listening to it over and over anyway. That's just the nature of the process. But I found myself listening to this shit so much because, as with my favorite rap project, the more I hear it, the more bars I'm catching. Like this is not just like a good ass rap on a cool. Like there is layers to this shit, and I need to stress this because to anybody who has listened to it, if you appreciate bars and shit and entendres, I don't care how many times you heard this album, you did not catch every bar.
Facts. I still haven't.
I listen to it, and I be catching shit like. So I just had to point that out. So same deal with the new stuff. It's like, we had the benefit of needing to listen to it 1,000 times. But if you've heard this shit, go run that shit back like 4 or 5 more times. Like not even on some bullshit self promo shit. On some, there really is layers to unpack. Like it's a fun listen, but the shit is super deep.
Pardon the interruption, but if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe, like the video, and hit the bell as well. And if you're checking this out on podcast platforms, please follow the show, leave a rating, leave a review if possible. This will help the algorithm do its thing and get more people tapped in. Thank you so much. Now back to the show.
Yeah, I really wanted to tell the story in a way that wasn't like super obvious, so I just picked one perspective per song to kind of tell the stories from. But like if I could highlight 2 songs on the album specifically that I want people to go back and listen to, or that I'm most proud of, it'd probably be like Track and Field and Seance. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like if you thought you really caught everything, then I want you to go back and do, you know what I'm saying, a little more on those 2. Those are probably like, yeah, I don't really, it's kind of weird. I feel weird about like hyping up my own writing sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But like I really this album is one of the albums that like I feel like for my career there's a before and after Black Man, right? Like that's like a crucial point in my career that I feel like there's a before and after. I feel like for my like artistic vision and ability to like execute that shit, there's like a before and after Drug Money, where I feel like this really set the bar and the standard for everything that I'm doing like going forward. And it even helped me put together some of the other shit that I was working on, you know what I'm saying, like in conjunction with it. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I just feel like this particular album, like it really showed me what, I could do in the parts that I'm good at, and then what collaboration does for adding to that, and what it's like really to kind of like, I don't know. I've been getting more and more into film. I've always been like kind of like a film nerd as far as like I don't watch a lot of movies, but the movies that I watch, I break them down and study them. I've written a lot of things like I think visually, so I see everything that I've done. All the albums with Ed have been done the same way. They're all, you know, laid out kind of like movies. Every album that I've done is kind of like exists in like a Quentin Tarantino style universe where there's a real world that's happening and then there's like a fictionalized world that's happening. Like Drug Money is like a movie in this whole thing. If there's a Teller Banks universe, like Drug Money really is a movie. It's like paid in full. It's like it's a true story, but it really is the movie version of that true story. There's shit that really happened in there that I didn't put in the, you know what I'm saying, that I didn't put in the movie. You get what I mean? Versus the shit that I feel like, you know, I have that's more like biopic based, that's actually trying to be grounded in reality. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I just feel like this album in particular was the first time I really felt like I was actually sitting in the director's chair for the album, and it wasn't so much like even the spontaneity of the creation, like that's what all made it come together. But this is probably the project that I edited the most and put the most into chopping up and putting together and really trying to, you know, make it be something that you can close your eyes and see if you were trying to, you know what I'm saying?
You nailed it. Because, like, I agree fully that this feels like the most vivid writing and like the most sharpest, like, and that's another thing about this record that's really special, right? Is the song structure, not just like kind of like from a musical song structure, but like how short these songs are. Most of these songs I feel like are under 2 minutes, right? So the ability to come in and out, like just get in within seconds, you're immediately setting some situation, some environment, you're describing a story, and you're able to go from like start to finish, or at least give a really like real and visual nugget of something that's happened in your life or in this story. It's brilliant because that's super hard to do. Like, and those are the types, that's the type of writing that I particularly gravitate to, that some of the best ever have done, like Doom on Mad Villainy is always like my standard for like some of the best writing ever. The ability to conjure up such emotion, such visuals and storytelling in under 2 minutes is like, it's crazy.
That's the
And
sweet spot.
Oh
yeah,
yeah, I mean, if you look at
Yeah.
films for the most part, like most good films that really keep you drawn in, they don't linger on things for that long. You know what I mean? The thing that they end up lingering on the most, that might be like the focal point of the movie. You might have like a really extended one take, but it's like to really nail a lot of like good films, if you go back and watch them, it's like the scenes that they keep you in, it's like they're cutting scenes often to keep your, you know what I mean, your mind like captivated. And then like with me, I have a lot of anxiety about shit. So you know, I revealed this already on another podcast, but I read the Wikipedias to movies all the time, like way more than I actually go and see them, you know what I'm saying, in the theaters. And it's like there's a connection with a lot of the times when I'm reading the movie's Wikipedia, if the plot page on the Wikipedia is long as hell, the Rotten Tomatoes on that shit is mixy. You know what I'm saying? Some of the best movies that I've read the Wikipedia for, they can sum that shit up in a good few paragraphs. You know what I'm saying? Like it is real concise, you know what I mean, in terms of like, you know, I don't know, you know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of the times less ends up being more. And you know, I respect the art of like what they created, you know what I mean, as it is. So when they sent me whatever they sent me,
Yeah,
I never tried to get them to change any pieces of it, anything like, you know, that happened on the records, like just happened. Whatever I was confined to in
Yeah.
that beat, like I really like lived inside of that.
I appreciate that, dude, for real, because
Yeah, for real.
it's a struggle sometimes with people. Like they're like, "Yo, man, can you do this?" I'm like, "Actually, no. Hold up, hold up."
Yeah. I'm not, yeah, like, yeah, never got the, can you extend this
yeah.
text? Like, yo, can you do this? Like, bro, I'm not trying to exhaust the idea. You shouldn't be either. Like, and he respected that.
That's kind of how we made the beats too. Like we wouldn't we weren't looking at structure or like time. It would just be like, yeah, this idea has come to its logical conclusion, and if that means it's a minute and 15 seconds long, like that's what it is.
That beat on Track and Field, man, like I don't know what y'all put into that, them pianos and all that. When it just starts breaking down into chaos and insanity at the end, it was like I just saw that in my head. Like, you know what I mean? It was like, you
Yeah.
know, classic like chase scene energy. Like, we got to get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't
So
even know where
yeah,
that beat would even like re-loop to start over again at like a clean point.
Yeah, it's the secret sauce, man. It's just, like you just like, I don't know, a good artist knows when enough is enough. You know
yeah,
what I
and it
mean?
played into the writing. Like when I was listening to that beat and writing that song, and even how it was delivered in the end, the reason why it sounds so frantic is because like I was running out of time. I literally was running out of time, and I knew like I have to find a way to make this all fit into this. And so it literally like I don't know how to explain it. There's like layers on layers to the creation of it that actually ended up helping part to tell the story. Like it's all being unlocked in my head as I'm writing it, as I'm listening to the instrumental, as I'm going, where it's like I'm pulling from all of these different things that I'm seeing and trying to put back together. You know what I mean? Like, but that song in particular, like I feel like was, you know, I don't know, like in my opinion, that's probably like some of my favorite writing that I've ever done. So I always like of any of the songs that I go back to that song the most. If I could shoot a music video for that, like that would be the one that I try to shoot like a music video for, you know. But I'm gonna need
Yeah.
like I need the budget for that shit because I need a full, you know, we need
Yeah,
slaves in the
buy the shirts. Buy the shirts, so
Yeah,
we
buy
get
the
the we
shirts. Let's
get
fund that
the
track and field video for real.
yeah. I'm trying to
Yeah.
really make you know, I'm trying to do more visual work with, you know what I'm saying, the albums that we're putting out. So like, you know, I'm not going to tease too much, but I wouldn't don't be too surprised if something visual comes out to accompany, you know what I'm saying, the sequel.
Yeah, I would love to see that. And like I feel like I love this album also because I feel like Teller, you really emptied the clip as far as like flexing all of the different types of music you could make, like the different styles you can rock. Like, you got the different flows, you got the vocal inflections, you got the effects on your voice that you often use. Like all of this is kind of put into one single project in this really concise way like we've talked about. Like how did these instrumentals make you feel free to like explore these various different bags that you have as an MC?
Man, okay, like this, I feel like this is a crazy question. I don't know. I feel like in a weird way, like everything that was leading up to this album and what happened with it, it was like it opened up my vision for what the rest of like my career is. This is probably like the most I've looked into the future or like plotted out or known like the direction that I'm going in. You know what I'm saying? I feel like in everything that's been happening in the aftermath and lead up to is like really kind of put me in a kind of similar place, if that makes sense. So like I felt like in a weird way this was just the role that I was born to play. You know what I'm saying? Like it's my real life, but I feel like when I'm doing these albums or putting it out, it's like I'm acting in a movie, but when the movie script and the scene and all of that lines up to who you really are, that's when you get like your best work out of somebody. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like a movie I just seen recently. I don't watch like a lot of new movies, but I just seen Caught Stealing in the theaters, right? And so it was like I ain't knew who the fuck Austin Butler was for I was watching this movie, but I'm like, I love this movie. You know what I'm saying? So I'm researching all the shit. I'm looking into Austin Butler's life, all the shit, and it's like there's all these weird similarities between like the character he plays in the movie and who I was in real life and what I was going through. I'm not gonna spoil anything in the movie, but it was like when I'm reading his like bio of who he is as a person, I can see the events in his life that went into really being that person in the movie. The reason why it's so well acted, you know what I'm saying, is like that really was him, you know what I'm saying, as this character. But whatever was happening in his real life that he poured into that role was really real. You know what I'm saying? So like beyond all that, like, you know, it's funny. I was trying to gain 35 pounds. This nigga gained 35 pounds for that movie. Me and him weigh the exact same as when he tried to start gaining the weight, as when I was trying to start gaining the weight. Just a lot of weird similarities leading up to that. And so it was like you know, I read one of the reviews and it was like, yeah, this is the role that he was really born to play, right? And I was like,
Mm,
oh shit, like that's how I really felt about this album, particularly how it lined up, how the soundscape just allowed me to whatever was flowing through me. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of those early songs I did really just write and create in one drunken stupor of a studio session where like
bro, I never seen no shit like that.
I really, you know what I'm saying? Like the studio session that we had at the crib with at Philth's crib was like
Mm,
that was probably the first time I've ever really had people in the studio seeing me record like in my real natural element of how I really, feel like I'm putting I don't know, like it's really like I feel like it's really like a paranormal, you know what I'm
it
saying?
was, man. I felt that. I
Saying
definitely
Yeah,
picked up on
I came back. You were fully standing up, like arms, like you were into like you the energy you're putting into it, like you're
yeah.
physically putting into it too.
So yeah, I feel like they just whatever they were putting in and are still putting into the instrumentals now that it's even more focused, right? It's even more like
yeah.
on what we're doing. It's like I know the role, I know this role even better than I used to know it. You know what I'm saying? And now it's like
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly what I'm trying to execute. I'm not like I don't feel like a rookie actor on the set anymore. I feel like I'm in here like I'm meeting, I can go in the back and talk to the director about this role for real. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, I'm living this shit. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's really, I don't know how to explain it. This whole album is like lining up with my actual life. Like I went through all of this turmoil and then all of a sudden I started getting to do all of these things with McKinley Dixon, which is stuff that I've already been doing, but it's like taking me to different places where I'm in all of these different rooms and in all of these different places where I'm like in rooms with some of the greatest rappers in the world and they know who I am, you know what I'm saying? And they like my
Right.
work and it's surreal, you know what I'm saying? Going from such a low place and having it actually happen like a movie, right? Where you hear all the ways, oh, just let it go. You hear all the moral of the story that you're supposed to do, yada, yada, yada. And then you finally do it and it starts actually playing out in these kind of like weird serendipitous ways to where like even the tour getting rescheduled ended up being for the
Mm,
better. I'm not going to reveal too much on that, but everything that happened in that mix, even the show at Top Shelf, like I won't get into all the details on that, but everything that ended up happening was like a crazy serendipitous event that I wouldn't have been able to pre-plan. It's like I can only try to do my best to capture what's happening as it's happening. And it's like writing this second album as all of this is happening and lining up. Like before I went out to Philly, we had about 8 or 9 songs done on the set on the sequel. I probably recorded like 2 or 3 songs out there for it. Like amazing songs. Like I feel like the two
you went crazy, bro.
I feel
It's
like
mad funny too because at the end of the title track, you can hear me and Rent Money like cracking up, dying because he was just snapping, bro, just like left earth, just like going off the top, and me and Rent are just in the back going crazy, like. And it's funny because on the Rent Money joint on Drug Money, you can hear you in the back like going crazy. And I keep saying there's so many like so much continuity between these projects, like it adds to the whole thing about the organic nature.
yeah,
That's
it's
amazing.
crazy. But like I didn't know what the album was about until I got to Philly. Like I had no idea actually what the sequel the direction it was going in. I was just doing whatever was coming to me on these records. And then I went and did all of this shit. Went to Jersey, didn't know I was in Jersey, went to Philadelphia, had no idea I was in Philadelphia. Like, where in the fuck is Philadelphia is a song that we teased from the
Yeah, the
sequel
bonus
on
track. Yeah.
Bandcamp. That's a real thing. I ain't know where in the fuck Philadelphia was for real. Like I really didn't know. I thought we was in Philly, we was in Jersey, then we was back in Philly, but it's kind of like that's kind of like you know, one of the more humorous parts of it. But like all of the shit that happened, like I really had no idea what this album was gonna be until I got there and saw them do their thing, like in person, making the beats, saw their energy together, the collective, like everything. And yeah, that's when it really like all the whole story came to me. The whole story came to me all together in the middle of recording one of the songs. Like I had no idea what was going to happen until I was recording one of the songs, and then I went back and did some of the older beats that were on the album because it was like once I did that song, once I did the actual title track, that's what I think it is for the record. I knew exactly what the album was going to be. And I had no idea what it was going to be before that. I literally got like halfway through the verse, got excited as fuck because I could see it all, and then fucked the verse up and had to record that shit like 3 more times.
That's amazing. Yeah, the serendipitous nature of this whole process is just wild. And how like yeah, you like pretty much wrote a story that you were living. It's beautiful. And yeah, you can hear just like the like I don't know, you were able to skate over these beats in a way that you always usually can, but like it just felt extra special. And I think on the title track, on the money track, where you have that, is that the one where you have the Peyton Manning scheme that you kind of like keep going for like several bars, the football shit. It was
Oh my God.
that shit was so fire. That shit was so fire.
I'm trying to run it back. I'm trying to
Let me think. Yeah, I have to do the whole song from the start, or else
It's
exactly,
something like
exactly.
Peyton Manning, like I don't.
Omaha.
I Omaha, you got the Omaha. Yeah,
yeah.
I know there was like at least 3 or 4
Yeah, the
bars where like
Greyhound stop at 3 a.m. in
And
Omaha,
Omaha,
30-minute
30
window if you
minutes
gotta get the
trying to
shit,
get
you know,
you know.
call the plays. Yeah, no, that's because I really take the Greyhound a lot. I took the Greyhound back from Denver to get here. I literally just got off the Greyhound yesterday morning. Stopped at 3 a.m. in Omaha, like, you know, and
That shit hit different, bro. I've been on them Greyhounds, man. I've been on a few Greyhound buses in my life, and
yeah,
just that bar when that shit hit. And you're right, bro. Like that song being the final like idea of the first, like that whole bulk of the songs, it just makes perfect sense, bro. Because it's reflective, it's forward thinking, and it's like you were saying, it's it's like concise. Like
yeah,
to be able to say something in a smart way is to be able to like say it quickly and like make it make sense, and like it's still
mhm.
beautiful, it's still like clever, but man, that shit is just, I think it's perfect, bro. I really do think that shit is perfect.
in
Yeah.
the movie, that moment is the first time that the character records his song in the studio. That's like that, you know what I'm saying? The Get Rich or Die Trying moment. That's like his first time in the studio actually recording all of
Mm.
the shit that he went through and all of the ways that like it built him up. So if you listen to the song, it's literally almost like a summary of everything. You know what I'm saying? How I even got to be here, and then all the shit that like is gonna motivate the, you know what I'm saying, going forward. Like even the song breaking down at the end and kind of going into all of the stuff. It's like that's like the outro. I wanted it to fade to black. It's like, you know, I wanted to kind of leave it like open to interpretation. Like at that moment, you don't really know if he's gonna make it. You just know he's in the studio. And then it's like credit roll, Uncle Remus chicken, bombastic, crazy shit. That was supposed to be the intro, but I didn't feel like it was right. You know what I'm saying? So I almost took it off the album. Everybody was like, no, it needs to be on.
No,
Yeah,
When
you
it
but
came
know, like
together, that's when I really realized what it was for. I was watching the movie and I was like,
mm,
oh shit, this is it. This is the
credit
actual
roll,
credit
credit
roll.
roll,
This
yeah.
is when the credit starts and
yo,
they played a big boom song. And then Radio 93, like I said, is the mid credit scene that shows like, oh no, he actually made it. He's on Shade 45. He's on Flex or whatever it is. Like he got the
shout
jewelry.
out Rosenberg,
Did it. Yeah. Shout out to Rosenberg, man. Shout out to Mark. Man.
shout out to Mark, shout out
Shout
Top
out to
Shelf.
Mark, man. Dog.
But no, I had to say real quick the title track, the end, without going into too much like nerdy details about it. Like, you know, I didn't know as we were making the beat that that would be the outro, but it's perfect the way that it fades out in that way. And just long story short, like between us all collaborating on the beats, I'm glad for myself that like that's one joint that I know I did because I'd be doing this weird thing in Ableton, like just kind of letting certain chops go, but then also like letting them extend. Or maybe we did that in the MP. I truly don't know, but like I've been making a lot of beats like that, and I'm just like they've been some of my better beats, and I really love that he used that as the outro because he just understands what to do with the song. It's not like, yo, can you put some drums under this? He's like, no, I know where I'm gonna keep rapping.
Mhm.
Facts.
So like, that's one of my favorite moments.
That's amazing. So yeah, okay, let's look in the future now. You mentioned there's more work that you guys are all creating, which is insane. That's awesome. Is there anything other that you want to shout out in terms of like upcoming music, tour, merch, people should be looking out for?
Yeah, I got a 2000 XL A Space Odyssey dropping September 30th. I got Teller on the Monolith out now. That's on all streaming, Bandcamp. Just listen to it, man. It's good music. There's a bit of a continuation of Drug Money in there with Teller, and I got a bunch of other homies that I've worked with over the years and people that I just like, respect in this that can rap. And Chop the Head did the cover, brought my idea to life. If you haven't seen it, go check that cover out.
Legend.
It's up there with Ronald Reagan dunking a bag of crack. Like it's
Yeah, it's really good. The album
Yeah.
art and the feature list on that is crazy.
Yeah, I got Teller, Sleep Sinatra, Freddie Stone, my homie Barry Marrow, Sequence, Green Slime. I got mad people on there. Jersey Pages. Trying to think. My homie Tiff. I got mad people. Go check it out. September 30th. I'll hit you with a link after this.
Yeah, I'd love to hear this. Yeah.
But yeah, September 30th everywhere. Make sure you check that out.
Fire.
I'm gonna try and get a verse in on that shit last minute.
Hey, I'll get a bonus joint up on Bandcamp with it.
We're gonna see, bro. We're gonna see. I'm really looking forward to that shit because I've heard a lot of it, and I love everybody on that shit. I already know that shit's fire. So to parrot that, everybody check that out.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to be on tour with Fredman. Shout out my homie Freddie Stone. Tour ain't really work out. The car exploded in North Dakota. It's a long story, but me and Freddie are supposed to be locking in soon to work on a whole project. Can't say
He's
too
got a big
much
brain
about
idea for that shit.
I fuck with Freddie. I haven't heard like so much, but I like what I've heard.
Dog, Freddie's the man, and like one of the greatest live rappers you'll ever see. I don't even care. If you don't believe me, go to see Fredman rap live. Tell me I'm lying.
He'll do the best 5-minute set you'll ever see.
So shout out Fredman. I don't know how much I'm supposed to really be talking about it, but some of like the homies up in Brooklyn, like Page Grip homies, and like supposed to just be, every time I see them, like they're a homie. We just did a show out in Philly, and Akai was like, "Yo, man, send some shit." People like, "Send some shit." Lungs like, "Send some shit." So nothing too concrete yet, but I'm going up to Brooklyn very soon to go tap in and just see what's happening. And then I have like a 40-track instrumental album that I have no release date for. I was gonna maybe I don't know, but it's coming out soon, and I got like 3 beat tapes done, and I'm trying to work with more people. So more shit on the horizon, man. Just constantly working, more shows on the horizon. Crazy Halloween show coming up. More info on that. If you're in Philly, pull up. DJing with Another Planet and AJ Suede in September. Just September, all types of shit, man. Just pull up, tap in with me. I'm on the internet talking shit every day, so rap name on everything. You need me.
Got one of the best social media games out.
I had to chill, bro. I had to chill a little bit lately. Because I be in the rooms with these people, you know what I mean? Like not to be Mr. Cool Guy, but like for real, there have been times, not to even derail this too far, but like shout out my man Akai Solo, because I really told him this in real life. First time I ever heard his music, I didn't get it. You know what I mean? And my dumb ass is about to go on the internet and be like, "Man, what is that shit?" Talk shit, and then something in my head like, "Bro, you maybe just don't get it. Maybe wait and don't start talking shit, because you're probably gonna end up in the same room as this man at one point." Fast forward, he's one of my favorite rappers and one of the best rappers, and I DJed for him like 3 times. So, and he's like my man. So we smoked one. So I'm like, I'm really glad I didn't just talk shit for no reason with no information. Like, not that I'm like switching my position, but it's just like, basically, long story short, don't talk shit on the internet. Don't be like me.
Put it into the music.
No, I feel
Put it in the music, man. Get in the booth.
Yeah.
No, and real quick, last thing before I stop rambling, I just put the podcast on. Like, I'm at work right now, and my work crush walked in, and she was like, I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing this podcast right now. I got her on mute." She's like, "Oh my god, what's the podcast?" I'm like, "It's the Rap Music Plug Podcast."
Yeah.
Check it out. So we doing promo out here in real time.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Shit, I'll give you the exclusive. I'll go ahead and announce it here. I got the next album with Ed coming actually a lot sooner than people think. The Wolf and the Walrus is dropping November 11th. We got singles dropping here pretty soon. Yeah, the album's been done. Nah, I don't even know how to explain this. The album has been evolving into what it is for a little bit. I've been working on this kind of like underneath the scenes of a lot of things that I've been working on, kind of putting it together. The stuff that I write with Ed, I feel like is, I don't know, it's kind of like a different bag that I get into as far as like, I'll say this one's Oscar bait for sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's what we going for all of it.
Yeah, I've heard it where it's at right now. I'm sure it's gonna change a little bit before, but that shit is crazy. That's like him and Ed's best work, I think.
Yeah.
Wow. You guys always make something. It's always like, especially from your standpoint too, Teller, like very personal and like some real shit on that. Always life lessons type shit.
So yeah, not to piggyback, because I feel like they're very different albums. Drug Money and The Wolf and the Walrus are like completely different albums. But I feel like if you liked Drug Money, you'll probably like the wolf and the walrus. But they're they're very different. Like as far as the soundscape, you know what I'm saying, and the characters that I'm playing in that album are completely different. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's a different, I don't know. I feel like this is the best that I've ever executed. All of the Some of all the ideas that I was trying to put together and all the albums that me and Ed have done, I feel like this is the best that I've ever executed telling that story.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and I
That's
feel like it
beautiful.
came off of the heels of, like I said, just working with, this group of people and them really allowing me to work through the stuff that I had going on in real life in a real way. You know what I'm saying? That was very therapeutic, you know what I'm saying, visualization. Like, I feel like a lot of the tactics and things that people would even like, if you paid a whole lot of money for like a therapy session, right? They're going to try to take you through and relive these events and talk about it and fictionalize and, you know what I'm saying, do all of these things with it. And I feel like they allowed me to do that in a way that was very important for me to be able to do the rest of the work that I'm doing for the rest of my career. You know what I'm saying? Like I really do feel like as far as who I am as an artist, there's like I always feel like I had great moments and great ideas and at times great execution, you know what I'm saying? But I really feel like there's a before and after Drug Money that is paying dividends into the whole rest of my career. So like I owe these guys a lot for that moment and them inadvertently, you know what I'm saying? You know, I don't know what all of these guys had going on in their personal lives that went into creating these soundscapes. You know what I mean? I know me and Q have a very spiritual connection with each other as people. You know what I'm saying? I know that me, Kane, and Philth, you know what I'm saying? I've known Kane probably the longest, like on the internet. We've made music before. You know what I'm saying? He's got some of my like more personal records on an older tape that we were supposed to do that I pulled the plug on because I wasn't ready to go there on some of the songs that I was in that moment of time. I'm still developing some of those ideas. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like all of the ways, and then even like Philth opening up, you know what I'm saying, him and his wife's home, for us to be able to do all of that, like, you know, I feel like a lot of time I said it online too. It's like, I feel like I gained like a whole new family. You know what I'm saying? It really feels like something that is bigger than music. You know what I mean? And like me and Ed also had that connection. The first time he ever sent me songs for the Grotesque and Beautiful, I texted him back. I said, "Bro, are you okay? Like, the shit that you're getting me to tap into is like some different shit." The first song I really wrote for Ed was Suicide Hotline 3. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Damn.
Yeah, so in a lot of ways, like I feel like this upcoming album with Ed is really the sequel to Grotesque and Beautiful. It's like the big budget. They do the remake. It's like it was an indie
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
classic, and now I got the real budget to go back and remake, and retell that story with better execution, better direction, just better everything. So, you know, not to reveal too much, but the album starts out with Suicide Hotline 4. So it really
Yeah.
is like a
Oh
direct,
shit.
Yeah.
continuation to Grotesque and Beautiful, just like in my right mind. I did the entirety of the Grotesque and Beautiful during an acid trip that I was locked into for like 3 days. So I was just, you know,
That's
not
where the
in.
best music is created for real. I'm not gonna hold you. This is where
Sometimes I have a real love-hate relationship with a lot of my old music because of, my feel like my dependency on like substance abuse, right? And I feel like that's really like to get into specifics of what this album helped me break through in like multiple things was that like that that is I didn't have to actually get fucked up on the second half of the album to sound like that. Like I didn't actually have to be belligerently wasted on none of the sequel. You know what I'm saying? I'm not drinking. You know what I'm saying? On the sequel, I'm sober. You know what I mean? And it's my most accurate, I feel like, depiction of. I don't know if I want to give away too much of the
nah,
sequel, you know what I'm saying? But it
that's
really,
funny, man, because I've been drinking more, bro. You getting like some kind of stuff too.
bro. I
That's
don't have everybody different strokes for different folks. You know what I'm saying?
true.
Like for real, for real. I don't judge that because I feel
Yeah.
like all the times in my life that I was like, you know, for better or worse, that's why the Drug Money album exists in the juxtaposition that it did, right? Because I feel like a lot of that shit that had me in my wrong mind was also keeping me alive. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Right.
keeping me the coping,
Hold
you
up.
know, there's not a lot. There's shame in a lot of that shit, but I try to erase the shame of people that deal with substance abuse or people that deal with all of that, because at the end of the day, the root issue to a lot of that is coping to survive your environment, right? And so it's like whatever you had to do to survive that, like you should honestly be proud of that shit. So it's like I have a real love-hate relationship with a lot of the old music that I made, a lot of the, even just the person that I used to be. It's life and music mirror itself. So it's like, when I go back home and I get to live and like see how far like my old reputation really precedes me, even when I meet new people, and it's like, people have reservations to the fact that I'm actually the nice guy that I like am when you meet me now. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
because of all of the shit, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know, you know what I mean? I just have a lot of philosophies behind that. Not to ramble too much, you know what I'm saying? But like, one of the things that really like split a lot of people down the fence with me is like my tattoos. You know what I mean? I have a gigantic Baphomet tattoo on one side of me, and then I have a Jesus on the other side. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like I feel like there's a tie with me to like kind of like a lot of demonic or like darkness or like, and I kind of lean into that because that is a lot of parts of who I am. But like theoretically, I always challenge people's idea of like good and bad, right? Like Lucifer was an angel, you know what I'm saying, that fell out of heaven and is the most evil shit that everybody attributes everything to, you know what I'm saying? So like the most good in a person that you're going to be able to like see is somebody that really came up out of the opposite, in my opinion, you know what I'm saying? So I try not like, people with substance abuse, people, the houseless community, mental health, you know what I'm saying? All of that stuff. Like, I feel like I bear a responsibility, you know what I'm saying? Like, to that, because there's nothing besides like just like fate and chance and whatever spiritual shit is working in my favor that would separate me from any other person that fell on the other side of that. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So I look at all of that shit like, regardless of if, just because I stopped drinking doesn't mean that you got to stop drinking. You got to stop drinking when you figure out what else is going to keep you alive. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that that's what my man's is going through. I'm talking more to the broader,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, to the broader public, or, you know what I'm saying, people that are going through things. It's like the inherent shame of it is what keeps a lot of people in the dark and not telling people about the problems that they're having. Like nobody would have known that I was drinking like the way that I was drinking until after New Year's, when I finally had to say that. You know what I'm saying? So, I just think that there's a lot of shame that needs to be erased behind that, because, like I said, a lot of that is for your own survival, and so people who survive through that, it's kind of like, in my eyes, I look at that more like a badge of honor than anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what it means to really be sober. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit's it's different. You know what I mean? Like I said, somebody who's really done evil really knows what it means to be good once they decide to do that. Like, and the choice that goes into it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are not who they really want to be. Um,
Type shit.
my bad. I'm going long winded, but I really feel like this is something that I need to, get off of my chest right here. Like growing up, I was a really small person. I was always the smallest person out of any group that I was in. You know what I'm saying? So it was like at point in time I grew. I went from being like a 5'9", 100 pound soaking wet person to 6'3", like 180 pounds playing sport like elite athlete. You know what I'm saying? And it gave me the freedom, for better or worse, to really be the person that I always thought I wanted to be. You know what I'm saying? And when I look out into the world, it's like I have a lot of, complex opinions about things, but I know that like inside a lot of people, there's a lot of like who they want to be and versus who they're allowed to be. You know what I'm saying? I know that a lot of people are really not honest by choice. You know what I'm saying? I know that a lot of people really aren't good by choice. It's by force and by like, a lot of the fucked up parts of the world are also a lot of parts of the world that keep shit in order. You know what I'm saying? And so I just want, you know what I'm saying, to really like stress the fact that like personal responsibility over like what you do with power that you have, what you do with the power that you have over yourself, power that you have over other people. You know what I'm saying? Your physical responsibility to like take care of the earth and the people that are on the earth is important. Like if you're strong, you know what I'm saying? Like the people who, you know what I'm saying, in this lifetime that are born strong, whatever that be, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, you know what I mean? You have a responsibility to care for the weak, that are on this earth. You know what I'm saying? It's really something that you need to do.
Real spiel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And like, yeah, I really do hope people listening, whether they're going through anything similar to what you are going through, or we're going through, or weren't, because I just think what you said there right at the end is so key, because it's like, man, it's a there's so much privilege. I have so much privilege for so many reasons. Like,
Me too. There
you
ain't
can
no reason
use
why
that.
I'm
You
here
can
instead of
we
some of the other people that I know came from where I came
Mm.
from and from the same circumstances that I came from. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like, if we want to acknowledge all these material conditions being different and be like, man, yeah, give people some empathy. It's like, okay, the flip side of that is like, if you don't have those awful, destructive, terrible material conditions around you, what are you going to do with it? And I think at
Mm-hmm.
bare minimum, there's a level of, of love and care, like you were saying. And I do think that personal responsibility, I think that reminds me of something DJ Haram said when she was on, like, I don't know, a month ago or 2 months ago or something. She said that was like the message she wanted to give forward with her music, is like adult responsibility, personal responsibility. Like, that's just fundamental. It's a
Ram's a
fundamental
fucking
thing.
real one, yo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. She's a realist. And man, just even hear about this whole album, like I like I said, I loved it, but like hearing this kind of backstory, the everything that went into it, the effect that it had on you personally, Taylor, kind of just how it was like a almost a way of therapy like that. Like, I just can't wait to listen to this again now, and I hope everybody listening feels the same. This is like
Thanks.
one of the best records of the year, and I'm so excited to see you guys, like, continuing to work together. But even if you didn't, this was it. Like, this is worth it. This was special, and I hope you guys kind of like uh you know take everything, all the learning, all the lessons, and kind of bring it forward to your future music. And I'm excited to hear all that shit. And thanks so much for
I
coming on.
appreciate that.
This was awesome. This was a great
Thank you,
conversation.
man.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you. Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you,
for real.
Thank
Taylor.
y'all,
Thank you.
man.
Shout out Phil.
For real, man.
Hey, Yash.
Thank y'all. Shout out my cats. They made a brief appearance. You know what
Shout out
I'm
my
saying?
cat.
Yeah, bro.
Yes. Suicide prevention cats. Hit the
Real
ARL.
shit. Real shit.
That's
Appreciate
fucking
you, bro.
awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Rap Music Plug podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to not only support the show, but join the fastest growing community of like-minded indie rap fans, go to patreon.com, search for the Rap Music Plug podcast, and become a patron. You will gain access to an exclusive patron-only Discord that me and 70 plus people engage with on the regular, as well as other patron-only benefits such as exclusive access to the iconic RMPP listening parties, album recommendations, and much more. So if you have any questions about any of the Patreon stuff, or just want to keep tabs on the show, interact with me on rap music and all the great stuff that we can talk about, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at rapmusicplugpod, or shoot me an email at qlctv.podcast@gmail.com. You can also rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify as well. But that's enough self-promotion for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace.